Hey family, welcome to the Family Meeple. I'm Raymond, and this is the unboxing of Cthulhu Death May Die, Seasons 3 and 4, Fear of the Unknown. Hey family, we have the last of our big boxes for Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is, of course, our stretch goals box where we have lots of additional investigators and monsters and episodes, I think. Let's have a look and see what we get in this box. Okay. There we go. So we have, similar to our Unspeakable box artwork with the gathering of investigators, we are presented with a similar front cover for this stretch goal box. And of course, in true fashion, you can stack it either way. Or shelf, the Unknowable box. It's slightly different artwork for each edge. So let's have a look at what we get. So there's no blurb on the back here, other than to say, of course, you will need the original Cthulhu Death May Die, or of course the Fear of the Unknown core boxes in order to play with these materials. But we have Lost Episode box 4, 5, 6 and 7. So this is, again, a continuation of the lost episodes that we have in the Unspeakable box. And we have the additional Elder one, being NUG YEB. So let us dig into, and of course, lots of new investigators to add to the fray. And of course, one of the big things for me that I love about Cthulhu Death May Die over something like, I don't know, Zombicide, for example. Certainly the normal Zombicide, like Undead or Alive, not so much like Marvel Zombies. In Marvel Zombies, of course, everything is completely unique. Every character is unique. So a tremendous amount of work went into here. But I like the fact that for the Cthulhu Death May Die series, every single investigator has their own unique power and ability, which is fantastic. Okay, so just going to pop that way there. So we have just a sheet for this one, the Unknowable box. So we have a summary of the lore. We have various tokens and components that we'll get. Let's have a look. New investigator skill clarifications, episode clarifications, relic clarifications, and unknown monsters clarifications. So we have, oh my gosh, look at all of those investigators. Wow, lots and lots. And then we have some strange floating bits and bobs, so we will take a look at those. We have a pumpkin, we have a sculpt, we have a stack of unknowable monsters to continue to expand our content. We have a bunch of tokens. Okay, and then what we have in here is our investigators, each of the 4 additional episodes, and another old one to add to the fray. What to go through first? Let's go through our episodes first. See what we have in here. I take it that is empty beyond that. So we have, oh, I'm like, where's my green screen gone? Here we go. Oh, my camera has moved slightly. Okay. Okay, so we have Hypnos, Lost episode 4. And so, the story for this Lost episode is, it's not unusual for investigators to relive their daily nightmares in their sleep. But for many to experience the same dream several times in a row is suspicious, to say the least. This goes beyond simply venturing into the dreamlands. We must find the doorways that these cultists are using to assault the dream world itself. Okay, so let's dig into. So each of these lost episodes then come with their own complete components, which include tokens, boards, and miniatures. Okay. Oh, and mythos cards and episode cards. Wow. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff in here, folks. So let's start with Lost episode 4, Hypnos Monsters. We have Hypnos itself. There we go. So Hypnos will be rolling. Oops, get out of the way a bit. There we go. Okay, so Hypnos rolls 5 dice. Wow. Has 4 health and adds 1 to the monster pool. And when destroyed, place Hypnos on the board of the nearest investigator until it's summoned again. While there, the investigator loses 2 sanity at the end of each of their turns. Wow. Okay. And Guggersaw, we of course we saw in one of the previous seasons. So it comes with 5 health and gain 1 green when attacking if it has any wounds. Okay, so they are the enemies for this particular story. So now we know a bit more about the story and the enemies we'll be facing. Let's have a look. How do we disrupt the ritual? You have to have 7 dream spheres outside of the board at the same time. When the Elder One advances, if Hypnos is on the board, he moves 1 space towards you. If Hypnos is an investigator board, the enemy nearest to that investigator moves directly to their space. And the special rules: all doors printed on the tiles are ignored, but for all purposes. Okay. Investigators treat the passage side of the fog tokens as a passage, but the lock side as a wall. Okay. I'm guessing because there are no... Oh no, there's a whole raft of tokens in this box. So for enemies and any other purpose, including checking distances, treat both sides of fog tokens as if they were passages, so they're effectively adjacent to one another. And after the ritual is disrupted, turn all fog tokens into passages. Turn the token over. If it's not a passage, replace with a passage token. So check for passage. Choose a fog token in your space. So these are the episode actions that can be undertaken. Choose a fog token in your space and turn it over. If it's not a passage, then lose 1 sanity. And then the other action is to destroy a sphere. Make a roll against a sphere in your space. This doesn't count as an attack. Each success deals 1 wound to the sphere. Where a sphere has 3 or more wounds, destroy it and remove it from the board. Excuse me. Alright, let's have a look at... Wow, lots of colour on there. Okay, so we have 13 dream spheres. We have 5 passages start off the board. These here. And then we have 15 each of the same colour shuffled and placed on the indicated intersections. So these effectively are between each of the rooms. The rooms supposedly then presumably each dream zone. Okay, so we have Hypnos, Gug and Cultists. That's what we'll be looking at here. So let's have a look at those tokens. So these are the dream spheres we have to try and acquire. These are the fog, and then when you flip them open, they're passages. So similarly here, these are locked, dream spheres open. Okay, so let's have a look at, we do have a unknown monster card for Hypnos, as obviously we've seen before the unknown monster card for Gug. So if you're going to use Hypnos in one of your other games, which you can do, so exactly the same effects and impact on the game. Plus, when an Elder One advances, if Hypnos is on an investigator board, the enemy nearest investigator moves directly into their space. Otherwise, Hypnos moves 2 spaces towards you. Then, if Hypnos is not on the board, summon it at the furthest gate. Okay. So that's how the Wandering Monster Hypnos will operate. Sorry, the Unknown Monster of Hypnos will operate. Okay. So let's have a look at the Mythos cards for this episode. It's still stuck to me. Okay. So we have the Dream Lord. If Hypnos is on an investigator board, that investigator takes 2 stress. Otherwise, Hypnos moves 2 spaces towards you. Summon Hypnos into the blue zone. We have Hypnos. If Hypnos is on the investigator board, the investigator moves 2 spaces towards the starting space. Otherwise, Hypnos moves 1 space towards you and then summon Hypnos. We have Gug. Each Gug moves 1 space towards you and summon a Gug. Dream Beast. Move the furthest Gug 2 spaces towards you. Then that Gug takes 1 wound and deals 1 wound to each other figure in its space. And summon a Gug. It's just a dream. If there's a dream sphere in your space, move it 2 spaces towards starting space. Otherwise, lose 2 sanity. Fraying Realm. Each investigator takes 1 stress. If there are 5 or more dream spheres outside of the board, they take 2 stress instead. For each stress they cannot take, they take 1 sanity. Dream World. Place a previously destroyed dream sphere back on the board in your space. Ooh. Then move it 2 spaces towards the starting space. Remove all wounds from the dream sphere. Finally, nightmares come true. Each enemy moves 1 space towards you. Then, if you have any nightmare conditions, discard it, and the nearest monster moves directly to your space. Otherwise, take 1 wound. Okay, so that is what the game will be throwing at you. And let's have a look at a couple of the discovery cards, as we have done with the others. So, Claw Gloves, one such. A nightmare-born way to shed the veil between the dream and reality. You may take 2 stress to claim the Claw Gloves, and if you do not, claim the Nightmare condition. Claw Gloves, you gain an extra green when attacking the target in your space or destroying a sphere. Nice. Nightmare, when you claim this, take 2 stress. For each stress you cannot take, lose 1 insanity instead. And of course that was an item. So let's have a look and see if we can find a... Let's have a look at a character featured in this story, the farmer. What strange things one might encounter in the wild countryside at night. You may take 2 stress to claim the farmer. You may rest in unsafe spaces whilst you have the farmer companion. After you destroy a sphere, if it was dealt 4 or more wounds total, take the werewolf side of this card. A werewolf, you have a free attack action each turn. So the farmer is actually a werewolf. Like that. Different. Up. And we have tape, of course. Of course, we have tape. Tape. Try and get in. Am I in? I think so. I think that's all the tape. Sticky. Okay. Is that enough to get me in? Yeah, that'll do. Okay. You've got a space for our tokens. You can keep those aside. And here is Hypnos. Go. A good look. It's a great little sculpt. It is beautiful. And it's not exactly a little either. I mean, that's a good size. Loving the detail on that. What nice musculature! Good. That's a great sculpt. Done a good job of that one. Okay. So, oh, and he's gone. I've lost him. Pick it back up. Hey. There he is. There we go. Okay. Pop him back away with various cards and tokens, of course. Oop. In fact, I think they go on that side. And the others go underneath. Yeah, a bit of a feat to fit all this content back in the box, I feel. But we will do our best. Oop. Oop. There we go. And clearly we will have some additional monsters in this box that we are yet to encounter. So that is Lost episode 4. Let's dig into Lost episode 5. Oh, I'm excited about this one. This was one that really got me going when I saw this being shown off on the Kickstarter. Dreams in the Witch House. Now I was going to look this up and I did forget to. There is on Netflix, I believe it is, the Cabinet of Curiosities. If you look that up, they actually have an episode dedicated very much to this storyline. So do encourage that as having a look at that. Okay, featuring Kezia Manson and Brown Jenkins as well. So yeah, highly recommend if you've not seen that. And let me know in the comments below if you have seen that. What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Was it what you expected it to be? Interested in your thoughts. Dreams in the Witch House then, Lost episode 5. The cultists have found the old Mason house where items of dark portent and hideous power are stored. They will use the residual magics to power a new ritual. You must show them that dark magic can also be used to good purpose. So let's have a look. And of course there is Jenkins himself. Love that. And of course Mason Witch. So let's dig into. And I like the fact that they've done that. Actually, they've got the the opportunity for a few more sneaky graphics to be included in these larger episode boxes, which is good fun. Okay, these out there. Okay, what have we got? tokens. Okay, so we'll start with, of course, monsters card. There we go. And let's have a look. So we have Kezia Mason. So she rolls 3 green dice, has 6 health, and adds 1 to the pool. When attacking, each Elder Sign also counts as a success and a Tentacles for Insanity. Brown Jenkin, on the other hand, has 3 attacks, 1 black and 2 green. Comes with 4 life, adding 1 to the pool. And when destroyed, knock its figure over instead of removing it. And Brown Jenkin is summoned first. Each investigator within 1 space of the dead figure takes 1 wound. Then summon it as usual. Okay. That's how Brown Jenkin works. Let's find out more about this episode then. So to disrupt the ritual, place a magic circle on each of the 3 gates. Sounds simple enough. When the Elder One advances, move Kezia Mason and Brown Jenkin 1 space towards you. Place 1 circular token on the nearest enemy. Then you must take 1 wound, 1 stress, and lose a sanity unless you discard 1 circular token from one of your items or companions. Okay. Special rules. Enemies with any circulars add a success and a tentacle when attacking. When an investigator kills an enemy with a circle, they may distribute these tokens among their items or companions. And when a cultist or monster is summoned on a gate with a magic circle, deal 1 damage to that enemy when it gets summoned. Nice. Okay. So Dark Ritual. Place 1 circle on one of your items or companions. And in Chance and Gates, discard 4 circles from among your items and companions to place a magic circle token on the gate in your space. Okay, so let's have a look at the board. So we'll start. So these are, all right. Okay, so these are the magic circles. So we know what they are. Don't know what the other tokens are called. We've got gates and a set of stairs leading between the 2 areas. We start off with Jenkin, Brown Jenkin and Kezia Mason, in addition to cultists. Have a look at those tokens. We don't know what I didn't see what these were referred to as. I was calling them circles, but clearly they're not magic circles. These contribute towards the magic circles, and there are the magic circles. So you need to get 1 magic circle to each of the 3 gates. And it's and you need 4 of these to discard to place this at a gate. So that's ultimately what we are dealing with. Let's have a look at the Mythos cards. If I can find a easier in. The tiny tab just on that corner, which has been enough for it to get in. There we go. Get off me, man! Get off me! Okay, so we have Kezia Mason. Move Kezia Mason 1 space towards you. Summon Brown Jenkin in her space, and then summon Kezia Mason if she's not already on the board. The Witch. Place 1 circle on Kezia Mason. Then she moves 2 spaces towards you and summon Kezia Mason if she's not already on the board. Brown Jenkin. Move Brown Jenkin 1 space towards you, then move it to your space unless you discard 1 circle from your from one of your items and companions, and then summon Brown Jenkin if not already on the board. Kezia's Familiar. Move Brown Jenkin 2 spaces towards you, then investigators within 1 space take 1 wound unless they discard a circle from one of their items or companions, and then summon Brown Jenkin. Dark Magic. Each investigator loses 1 sanity per item or companion that they have with a circle on it. Ouch. Then place 1 circle on the nearest enemy. it fully heals and moves one space towards you. Okay. Feign death. If Brown Jenkins' dead figure is on the board, stand it back up, place one circle on it, and each investigator within one space of it takes one wound. Otherwise, if Jenkins is alive, move it 2 spaces towards you. Magic Drain. Summon 2 cultists at the nearest gate. Then each investigator must discard 1 circle from one of their items or companions. And we have 2 of those. There we go. Okay. So, second time only in the whole of Cthulhu Death May Die that I've seen, I certainly can recall, where we have the same Mythos card used more than once. And we'll have a sneaky peek at a couple of the discoveries. And then we'll look at the extra miniatures we get with this new episode. Why am I not in? Sure, I just flipping cut into that. Yeah, I did cut into it. It's just not playing ball in terms of actually coming apart. What? Let me in, man. What the heck? There it is. Right, there we go. Let's cut that corner away. Man, the static is crazy on this stuff. I just can't even, there we go, get to grip on it. Right. So we have a toad. A unfamiliar familiar. Possibly a friend. Possibly just a toad. You may take 2 stress to claim the toad. If you do not, then you claim the corrupted condition. The toad then, as a companion, when you claim the toad, you place 2 circles on it. This companion has extra wounds equal to the number of circles on it. Nice. However, if you claim the corrupted condition instead, at the end of your turn, put 1 circle on this card as a condition. Then, if there are at least 2 circles on this card, discard those tokens and take 1 stress or 1 wound if you cannot take the stress. Okay. So we have various other animal companions of similar ilk. Let's have a look at one such item available in this episode. An amulet, no less. A staple of sorcery since time immemorial. You may take 2 stress to claim the Pentagon amulet. Pentagon amulet then. When making any roll, you may count any number of elder signs as successes. When there are at least 4 circles on this card, discard those tokens and take the magic amulet side of this card. Okay, magic amulet. When making any roll, you may count any number of successes of elder signs as 2 successes each. Now, okay, so then there'll be an opportunity when you slay bad guys that are carrying these circles, and to put circles on here, and effectively you can upgrade and discard them on this item to make it more powerful. But of course you need 4 of those to create the magic circle required to disrupt the ritual. So yes, I like that you've got this continual dichotomy of, do I use these circle tokens to power up my items, potentially make them more potent and powerful in terms of helping me to achieve the goal, or do I hold on to them knowing that I'm working towards ultimately the resolution of needing to disrupt the ritual? So let's have a look at the characters then. I like her. They've done a great job on her. Fantastic. Let's move these other bits out of the way. See a bit better. Go. Very good. Excellent job of that pose. Such spindly little arms. Fantastic. There we go. So that's Kezia. And of course, her companion, Brown Jenkin, is kind of effectively a rat, but with a human face. There we go. It's Brown Jenkin. There we go. And of course, a space, as we saw with the other, for tokens. So you all go in there. Save you having to store these chunks of cardboard. In the meantime, these will go back away. And oh, we didn't look at the unknown monsters. So if you choose to play these as your additional unknown monsters, then when the elder one advances, if Brown Jenkin is alive, it moves 2 spaces towards you. Then investigators within 1 space of it take 1 wound. Otherwise, summon it. Starting space. And for Keziah Mason, when the elder one advances, Keziah Mason moves 1 space towards you. If not on the board, summon her on the farthest gate and remove all circles from this card. Place a circle on this card. Okay, and then each investigator with 1 space of Keziah Mason loses 1 sanity for each circle on this card. Ooh. Okay, so she uses the circles if you're using her as an unknown monster. That's how she works. There you go. So there's a view of contents of second of our 4 new episodes introduced. Loving all that artwork. So let's dig into the next. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the colour of space. Another fantastic recommendation if you've not already seen. And I know Nicolas Cage is continually getting a bad rap for the various films that he participates in. However, if you have not seen the Nicolas Cage iteration of The Colour of Space, I can highly, highly recommend. They did a great job on that movie. Again, let me know if you have seen it. What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy it? What did you most enjoy about it? What did you not like about it? Let me know in your comments below. Interested to have a discourse and see what other people's opinions were. For me personally, I thoroughly enjoyed it and thought they did a great job. Okay, so this place was host to a visitor of some kind. It's still unsure what it was, or even if it can be described. All that is known is the land is overgrown and the animals are no longer themselves, including the people. Yet the cults are here for their own sinister purposes. So let's have a look. Contents of this box. So set that aside. So they got some weight to it. Okay, so typical fashion, let's start with a look at our monsters. So we have, look at those, they're great. Mutated animals, fantastic. And of course, the colour of Out of Space. So the animals have 3 black dice, 3 life, and add 4 to the pool. When attacking or being attacked, add a tentacle to the roll for, or is that a tentacle? I think so. Yeah, add a tentacle to the roll for each mutated animal in its space, including itself. Ooh, okay, so at least 4 then, straight off the bat. The colour Out of Space then has 4, 2 green, 2 black, has 9 health. Wow, and adds 1 to the pool. When attacking, if it deals any wounds, the defender loses 2 additional sanity. So the enemies that you'll be facing off against. Let's find out more about this episode. Ooh, to disrupt the ritual, kill 10 mutated animals. Keep track below. So we'll have a token that we'll put here. We can keep track of those. When the Elder One advances, summon one mutated animal in the nearest gate and one on the second nearest gate. Place one colour token on each space with any mutated animals and or the colour of space if there's already a token in a space placed in it. If there's already a token in a space, place it in the nearest space that doesn't have one. Okay. Special rules. When an investigator runs, if they enter a space with the colour token, they catch one fire and must end their action. Okay? So, episode actions are to dissipate. Make a roll. For each success, you may remove one colour token from your space or an adjacent one. And you can feel the colour. If you're in a space with a colour token, heal all your stress and lose 2 sanity. So it heals you, but at a cost. Love that. Okay, let's have a look at some of these glorious tokens then. Here we go. So here are colour tokens we were making reference to there. So catch fire and stop being shown off, and they're the same on both sides. That's sheet 1 of 2, and then sheet 2 includes a few more of those tokens. Of course, our fire tokens, which you will catch fire as you run through, and then the token to track the level of creatures or animals, corrupted animals, that we are slaying in order to disrupt the ritual. Okay, so let's have a look at the mythos cards that come with this challenging episode. Oh, million. There we go. Static. Okay, drawn by the colour. If the colour out of space is on the board, each mutated animal moves 2 spaces towards it and then summon a mutated animal. Mutated animals! Place 1 colour token in the nearest gate. If there's already a token there, place it in the nearest space that doesn't have one. Summon a mutated animal. Startled animal. The nearest mutated animal moves 3 spaces towards their farthest gate, and then summon a mutated animal. Bizarre mutations. Fully heal each mutated animal. Each investigator loses 1 sanity for each mutated animal within 1 space of them. Then move each enemy except mutated animals 1 space towards you. The colour out of space. If the colour out of space is on the board, move it in 1 space towards you, and then summon 1 mutated animal in its space, and then summon the colour of space, colour out of space. Colour spreading. Place 1 colour token on your space. If there's already one there, place it in the nearest space that doesn't have one, and then summon the colour out of space. Spontaneous combustion. Place 1 fire token in your space, catch 2 fire, and each mutated animal moves 1 space away from you. And then the colour of madness. If the colour out of space is on the board, move it 2 spaces towards you and then place 1 colour token in its space. If there's already a token there, then place it in the nearest space that doesn't have one, and then summon the colour out of space. So you see lots of interaction with both colour out of space and, of course, the mutated animals which we require to disrupt the ritual. Okay, and we'll have a sneak peek at a couple of these discovery cards. So, Colour Surge. An alien and undimensional rainbow of cryptic poison. Heal all your stress and lose 2 sanity. If there's a colour token within 1 space of you, you must claim the colour influence condition. Otherwise, place 1 colour token in your space. Colour influence condition: when you rest, you catch fire. Ouch. Okay, and we'll have a look at the tomato or tomato, whichever is your fancy. Red, juicy, and possibly ripe with corruption. You may claim the tomato. Tomato, discard to heal 2 wounds. When you feel the colour, take the large tomato side of this card. The large tomato, discard to heal all wounds from you and each other investigator in your space. Wow, not a bad thing then. Not a bad thing. Okay, so let's have a look at the miniatures. Wow, these do carry some weight to them. Of course, whoops, it will be the colour from Outer Space. Oh, I'm loving it. Oh, I'm loving it. It's another one of those ones that I was very excited about. Having seen the film and having that level of appreciation of what was to come, it is a thing of beauty. Here we go. These are, of course, some mutated creatures or animals, or corrupted animals that we'll be dealing with. You see how the colour has corrupted them. Loving that. Absolutely loving that. Got some rabbits. Just turn into a ball of flesh and waving appendages. Truly the thing of nightmares. These, look, some hairs. Wow. And we have one final animal, if you can call it that. I mean, that really is just a lump of flesh, is it not? Wow. Oh, truly hideous. Fantastic. Okay. And all of those are topped off, of course, by colour. I think we're going to have to zoom out slightly here just to get it on. There we go. Get it all on. Love this. Look at this. That is fantastic. I am going to just prop it gently with my hand at the top. But yeah, when you can see the size and scale, this really does weigh some. Loving that. Just people just getting absorbed into the colour. Here. It's fantastic. Brilliant. It's going to be a delight to paint that and try and capture as best as I can the essence of those wonderful colours, of course. I think that was about how they went. Okay. Not quite. Maybe it wasn't that order. Oh, a bit better. Okay. Pop those away. So we have one last episode to look at. And before we venture into that, of course, we'll have a look at the wandering monsters. Sorry, the unknown monsters that we will be encountering. Should we choose to use these? And I do like the idea of just this great big stack of variability that we can just throw at it. Love it. So, the colour of Outer Space. So, still with 9 hit points then. When the Elder One advances, the colour Out of Space moves 1 space towards you. Then each investigator in its space takes 1 stress, 1 wound, and loses 1 sanity. If not on the board, summon the colour Out of Space at the furthest gate. And then we have our mutated animals when attacking or being attacked, as we saw before. And then when the Elder One advances, each mutated animal moves 1 space towards you. Summon 1 mutated animal to the farthest gate. Then summon 1 mutated animal at the farthest gate space with a monster. So just coming out in droves. Go. Fantastic. Loving that. Okay, we have the last, and you'll notice these have got gradually bigger and bigger as we've gone through this set. Horror in the Museum. This final episode. There's our normal size view we've come to expect. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out how to get in. Should be an opening around here somewhere. But just open at the side. Okay. Ah! Flipping heck. Do not like that. It's annoying. Very annoying. Okay. So annoying. Right. Let us look at. There's our artwork. Horror in the Museum. And our monsters for this one include Nofke and Ran Tegoth. Okay. So Nof has 3 dice and 4 health, adds 3 to the pool, and when attacking it gains 1 green if the target investigator's sanity is on a sanity point. And then we have Ran with 4 dice and 6 health, and while Ran Tegoth is on the board, the elder one has +2 health. Ouch! You're gonna feel that. You're gonna feel that. So let us see what we are dealing with. The story then for this. Long ago, a mad curator brought hapless victims to his museum to sacrifice to the elder gods. He stored their souls in horrific wax sculptures. His plan was foiled and the poor souls were freed. But now the cultists have discovered his techniques, and they are many, where he was but one. Fortunately, you know some of the techniques, and the best tables are those that are easily turned. So to disrupt the ritual, we have to have 7 wax sculptures on the board. When the elder one advances, each investigator loses 1 sanity for each wax sculpture in their space. Each investigator with a hostage takes 1 stress, and then if Ran Tegoth is not on the board, but the elder one is, summon Ran Tegoth on the elder one's space. If none of them are on the board, summon Ran Tegoth on the farthest gate. So actions for this episode include take a hostage, make a roll against a cultist or monster in your space. Except Ran Tegoth, this doesn't count as an attack. If you roll a number of successes equal to or higher than the enemy's remaining health, place it next to your investigator board with a hostage token. Keep any wounds that the enemy had. If it is summoned, discard the hostage token and its wounds. Each player can only have 1 hostage at a time, and hostages may be traded. So you can then sacrifice a hostage as another action, and if you have a hostage, kill them. And then if you are in the same space as Ran Tegoth, place a wax sculpture in your space and move Ran Tegoth 3 spaces towards the farthest gate. Okay, it's quite a bit to do in that one. Let's have a look at lay of the land with the museum. So we're starting here, and we'll have various wax sculptures which all start off the board. We have Nofket there and Ran Tegoth here. We have various cultists starting with 6 on the board, and of course all the gates as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the mythos cards and what they will be dealing to us. Oops. It's interesting. Oop, there we go. Quite a loose binding, that one. There we go. So, Mythos cards include Ran Tegoth. Move Ran Tegoth 3 spaces towards you. Investigators in spaces that it enters take 1 stress. Cultists in spaces it enters are killed. If not on the board, summon Ran Tegoth in your space. So then we have Nofke. Move the farthest Nofke 3 spaces towards you. So here we have more than one Nofke. We have, and then summon a Nofke. We have Ancient Threat. So move the nearest Nofke 2 spaces towards you. Investigators in spaces that it enters lose 2 sanity. Summon Nofke. We have Frozen Evil. Each Nofke moves 1 space towards you. The investigator with the most stress tokens, and then summon Nofke. Wax of Madness. Each investigator loses 1 sanity for each wax sculpture in their space. Creeping Horror. Each monster moves 1 space towards you. Then, if there is any wax sculpture in your space, the nearest monster moves 1 more space towards you. It's alive! If there's any wax sculptures on the board, discard the nearest one and summon 1 Nofke in its space. Otherwise, move the nearest enemy 2 spaces towards you. Finally, Out of Control. If you have a hostage, place it on your space with any wounds it had before and discard the hostage token. Otherwise, move the nearest monster 2 spaces towards you. Okay. And we didn't look at the tokens that come here. So I think these are the hostages and these are the sculptures. And then these are representative of the baddies and some health tokens. Okay. This is +2, of course, for the elder one, as we saw. And I'm going to have a sneaky peek at a couple of the discovery cards we will see in this episode. So we have the Museum Curator. She knows much more than simply cataloguing mundane artifacts. You may take 2 stress to claim the Museum Curator. If you do not, you claim the Obsessed condition. Tiffany, the Museum Curator, while you have her, gain 1 level of Arcane Mastery, and she has 1 health. Obsessed condition, however, while you have a hostage, you cannot rest. And at the end of your turn, lose 1 sanity for each wax sculpture in your space. Let's see if we can find a item. A Viking Spear. The spear is old, but the runework is new and glowing. You may take 2 stress to claim the Ancient Spear. Ancient Spear, you gain 1 green when taking a hostage or attacking a target in your space. And as I say, I won't dig into the full details there, so it is in the discovery decks that we often find there are some interesting twists and turns to the story that is yet untold. Another one of those things that I love about this game. Here we go. So we have 4 Nofke. There we go. If I get that out of the way. They are like abominable snowmen kind of creatures. But with multiple arms. And a single great big tusk. We have 4 of those. And we have one of these. Woo! Oh, that's going to be a delight to get in there and paint. Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at those claws. Fantastic. Wow. That is an impressive figure for sure. Loving that. Okay, so those are the baddies we will of course be fighting against in this particular episode. we just have a look at their unknown monsters. So Nothcare as wandering monsters. When the Elder One advances, each Nothcare moves one space towards the investigator with the most stress tokens. Summon one Nothcare on the nearest gate. And Ran Tegoth. When the Elder One advances, Ran Tegoth and the Elder One move two spaces towards you. If Ran Tegoth is not on the board, but the Elder One is, summon Ran Tegoth in the Elder One space. If none of them are on the board, summon Ran Tegoth on the furthest gate. Okay. That is what they look like. And that, folks, that is the additional 4 episodes and their contents we gain as stretch goals, or gained as stretch goals during this campaign. And their boxes, leaving us with investigators, Elder Ones. I suspect under the investigators there's something a little bit more to be seen. Let's have a look. So that brings us to our investigators, and we have quite a number to go through. So let's pop that out of the way so we don't disturb the green screen and dig in. So we begin with James Dalton. Funny enough, I actually used to know a James Dalton from the United Kingdom, being as that's where I live. So this is James Dalton, who's unloading his, or rather loading his gun. Better look at him here. We'll have a look at his text. There we go. That's great job. So, to tell you the truth, the fact that they're intelligent gives me no qualms whatsoever. James has hunted prey for sport, food and trophies on every continent, even Antarctica. It was on that Antarctic expedition that he discovered far more than local wildlife to stalk. Antarctica is home to many alien beasts and species in the caverns far beneath the ice, some of whom inhabited Earth long before mankind even evolved. James has never hunted people exactly, though he counted his time in the war as a sort of sport with the most dangerous prey. But hunting dumb animals cannot compare to stalking a foe possessed of intelligence equal to his own. This is a figure. Let's see how he plays. So, in typical fashion, we have the 2 standard skills that we share across all our investigators. So in this case, we have marksman, of course, and toughness. His special unique skill, however, is trophy hunter. At the start of the game, when you rest or the hunted enemy dies, place the hunted token on one enemy. You gain a green die when attacking that enemy. So what I noticed then was, as we unbox this, we have a plethora of additional tokens, which I'm now coming to understand will be part of the so maybe this is the hunter token, perhaps. Not really clear. However, these, I will assume then, are all part and parcel of investigators that we have. So that's James. Let's see if we can work out these other guys and their trophies. Okay, so we have Agnes Fortin from Unknowable, France. Trying to get the miniature. Here we go. She is. So let's have a closer look at her details. So it's only as the light leaves their eyes that I show my face. Agnes has been an investigator for longer than the current generation has been alive, yet she was a young woman when the paranormal world came to call, taking her young husband from her and putting her in the morning black. She swore she'd never wear another colour so long as the cult exists. Since then, she has learned the art of silent death better than even the creatures she stalks. On an investigation, she's a shadow, moving from place to place until her blade pierces their flesh. She's a tragic figure in truth, but her work gives her peace. That's her figure. Let's have a look at her skills. So she has a toughness and, as you would expect from that description, stealth. So that enables her to run and sneak past one enemy at the starting level. But her unique ability there is Silent Killer. You move one fewer spaces when you run. Gain 2 green die when attacking. That's her ability. Moving on, we have Amir Sese. There's Amir's figure. Have a closer look at details and nature. So from Laka, Sierra Leone, there is no one true faith. Instead, consider it to be a form of magic. Amir is a holy man, though he worships no single god nor honours a single practice. He has borrowed parts from many faiths across the world, learning their best lessons and discarding their most egregious trespasses. His power, such as it is to exude a sense of peace and tranquility to any who hear his words. Having such an investigator as part of the team is a refreshing boon from the horrors brought forth by the hidden world. Okay, that's Amir. Let's have a look at his details. So he has arcane mastery, as one would expect. So when making a dice roll, you count out a sign as a success. It's the starting level, and swiftness may run an additional space. But his special unique ability is spirit lifting. Once per turn, as a special action, you or one investigator in your space heals 1 stress and gains 1 lifted token, limited of 1 per investigator. So what do we think a lifted token might be? This perhaps? Maybe. Okay. That is that hero. Moving on, we have Antonio Senatore. Here is his figure. Let's have a closer look at Antonio. From San Marino, I would not be surprised to find some old one blood in my veins. Okay. He doesn't know the hows or whys of it, but Antonio can manipulate certain energies to his substantial benefit. Some magicians do this through years of active study and practice, where Antonio merely wills these effects to happen. He suspects he may not be completely human, yet he is absolutely on mankind's side in their struggle against the elder gods. Antonio's view is that even a doomed civilian is entitled to live its life without being hurried along to that end by the long-gone deities of the fools who worship them. There we go. That's his figure. Let's have a look how he plays. So he comes with the standard abilities of Arcane Mastery and Brawling. So he gains an extra green die when attacking a target in his area. And his special ability then is Aeon Knowledge. When the Elder One advances, gain a book token. Okay, there we go. At least I know what it is now. Right. Discard a book as a free action to heal all of your stress. Ooh, that's nice. And of course, we've seen the book tokens. Here we are. We have lots of those up for grabs. Oops. Okay, let's have a look at our next investigator. It is Karen Mendel. So, from Cardiff, United Kingdom. Guns not really part of the uniform, but I'm sure it comes in handy, don't it? Okay. So, that's her figure. As an officer walking the mean streets of London, Karen has seen a fair share of horrible human behaviour. Yet nothing matches the depths of depravity and terror evoked by the elder gods and their cults. For years she didn't notice signs of the secret world beneath our own, until one day it all came crashing down. Since then, she's felt more like an exterminator than a police officer, since arresting cultists is out of the question, to say nothing of the bizarre creatures they associate with. Though the idea of Cthulhu in a jail cell is amusing. Like it. It certainly is. So her key abilities are then toughness and brawling, which we have seen now, and her unique ability is command. Once per turn, as a free action, you may move one enemy up to 2 spaces away to your space. Okay, so you can command them to you. See who we have next. Jim. Oops. So Jim Cannon is next up. Loving that. Wouldn't be amiss in Under the Alive, that character, I reckon. Let's have a look. There we go. Zoom in. We go. So, Jim Cannon, Springfield, Missouri. Patience and persistence. Yes, sir. That's how you hunt. And it don't matter what game. Okay. Jim is going on in years, but spent the majority of his life in America West as a hunter, prospector, guide, and even a lawman. He thought to move back east and retire, but like so many other investigators, an encounter with the elder gods and their minions was enough to show him that his rifle was put to better use rather than sitting over a fireplace. Jim can still kill just about any creature that walks, slithers, crawls, or whatever else these things do, even the ones on 2 legs. Go. So let's have a look at Jim's details. So he has swiftness and marksman, may attack from 1 space away, and then his special ability is big game hunter. You gain a green when attacking a monster, gain an additional 2 green for each other time you attacked that monster this turn. Nice. So you can spend his actions piling into a monster to gain extra green dice. Nice. So next up we have Amelie Crow. Have a look. From Buxton. Not too far from where I am. So I'll zoom in and let's have a look at her details. Okay. I do not know how it happens, it just does. Some people are natural conduits for supernatural forces. As such, they're often sought by cultists and unwittingly forced to use their powers to assist the cults in their efforts to bring back the old ones. One such individual is Emily, who shows an affinity for gateways across time and space. Simply being near one allows her to bend it to her will. This came as quite a surprise to the cult that had kidnapped her from the employer's mansion, as the gate turned mid-ritual to disgorge gibbering fiends against them. Amelie made good her escape in the confusion. Okay. Let's have a look at her skills. We have, and as you would expect, certainly arcane mastery and marksman as well, with her rifle there. and her specific ability is Gate Influence. While you're within one space of a gate, you have one free reroll per roll. Nice. This is a known face, Charles Holler. And there's a handful of those in here, folks. There's a handful of these known faces. Okay, let's grab Charles Mini. I'll have a look close up at what he brings to our fray. Okay, Charles Holler from Durham, North Carolina. These things don't have music. Music is what makes us human. Charles has spent his entire life learning music. Whatever his composition, performance, or playing just about any instrument known to man, Charles is most at home among notes, lyrics, and melodies. He can always find the right little tune to put a spring in someone's step or shoo dark clouds away. And his talents are sorely needed, as surely as shooting a gun or deciphering arcane text, for there are no clouds darker than the old ones and their cults. Let's have a look at his abilities then. So we have Arcane Mastery and Brawling, and to accompany those, Inspiring Performance. So on your rolls, except against yourself, you may ignore one icon to give the matching inspiration token to another investigator. Let's see if we can identify. Well, there's a bunch of tokens here that have musical notes and skulls. So I wonder if they perchance are, no, trumpets with musical notes. Discard to add an elder. Discard to add to any roll an elder sign. Discard to add a success to any roll. Discard to add tentacles to a roll and a success to a roll. I wonder if it is those with which it is referring. Perhaps. Okay. We have Eve Blanchett. Okay. Yeah. There she is from Bordeaux, France. Get a closer look at her. Okay. So, the horror these things inspire is a fascinating phenomenon. Eve's doctoral thesis was on family dynamics, a far cry from the work she finds herself doing now. While she spends most of her time investigating cult activities and helping banish old ones back to where they came from, the trauma of dealing with these creatures cannot be undersold. Simply being proximate to entities so beyond human understanding has a profound negative effect on the human psyche. Eve has found that many techniques in psych therapy are of great use in easing troubled minds, although there is certainly a point of no return. There we go. Let's have a look at her character then. So we have Brawling and Stealth. She's one for being up in a fight, and her specialist skill is Therapist. I wonder if my wife would be tempted to play this character, perhaps. Training in a master's presently, second year in a 4-year course as being a master's in psychotherapy. I digress. So when you trade, you may heal 3 stress from you and each other investigator in your space. Ooh, nice. Object relations, I think, is what they would refer to that as, perhaps. Okay, let's zoom back out. Here we go. Akira Sato from Osaka, Japan. And here is his figure. There we go. What good is money if there's no society to spend it in? Sato was always good with money and even better with people. He travelled western lands for much of his youth and discovered a natural talent for business. He was a millionaire by 20 and his fortunes had only grown since then. He was a natural target for the cults, who often seek to indoctrinate wealthy interests to fund their march to oblivion for all mankind. But Sato was no fool and saw these mewling sycophants for what they were. He now uses his money and considerable fighting skills against them. There we go. Let's have a look at his skills. So definitely, as you would expect, brawling. The other one being swiftness, may run an additional space. And his specialist unique skill is rigor. Once per turn on any roll except against yourself, take 1 wound to set 2 dice to any face. And gets better from there. Let's have a look. Another famous person of history, Salvador Dali. Okay. From Figueres in Spain. Okay, let's have a look at his details. So the only difference between me and a madman is that I'm not mad. There's a fine line between art and madness, and Salvador Dali crosses it regularly, both in search of new inspiration and in battling the forces of the old ones anywhere he runs across them. And he seems to run across them with alarming frequency. His own flamboyant nature leads him to many extremes, and as such, he can often be found in the highest circles of society where the cults find easy prey. He himself has been recruited more than once, only to turn the tables on his erstwhile allies. There you go. So there is Salvador Dali, and his skills are Arcane Mastery, as you'd expect with playing with Madness, and Marksman. And his specialist unique skill is Flamboyant. Once per roll, except against yourself, you may re-roll all dice. Nice. Very good. Something to be said for being flamboyant. There. We have Dorothy Parker up next. There she is, with putting her pistol from her clutch bag. Let's have a look at her details. So from New York, New York, wherever I go, including here, it's against my better judgment. A good writer and satirist can find material anywhere, which has led Dorothy Parker as many a bizarre quest in her lifetime. Yet none were so esoteric and mind-bending as the ones that brought her part of the dreamlands and into the secret world hidden beneath the veneer of polite society. With a razor-sharp wit and an iron will, Dorothy is well suited to delve into the arcane mysteries and come out on the other side with her sanity intact. And for those times when the horrors come too close for comfort, there's always the cold steel of her pistol. There we go. Let's have a look at her skills then. So we have Stealth and Swiftness, and then her specialist unique skill is Resolute. Once per turn, as a special action in a safe space, you may take 2 stress to investigate. Nice. Additional investigate. Very good. We have Don Hayworth from Indianapolis, Indiana. There he is. Okay. So just keep going. It's that simple. But simple don't mean easy. Don is a survivor of the Great War, and the word survivor is the term he uses. Trench fighting against the German forces was brutal, bloody, and often a complete slaughter for one side or the other. Don was the last man standing too many times, and yet his commanders kept sending him back again and again. As a result, he doesn't make friends easily, even among fellow investigators whom he's come to see as a resourceful group needing protecting. It's good to know that when the going gets tough, Don will always keep going. Let's have a look. So he has Arcane Mastery and, as you would definitely expect, Toughness to keep him going. But his unique ability is Relentless. If you have enough wounds, you may have one free reroll on all rolls except against yourself. So if you have any wounds, you may have a free reroll on all rolls except against yourself. Whoops. Let's have a look. We have Taylor Renner from New York, New York. Pick her out. There she is. Zoom in. So Taylor Renner. No, there's actually a violin in that one. The gun case is over there. Love it. Taylor has performed at all the largest venues on 6 continents and has been hailed as the prominent violin concerto composer of her time. So, how does one of the world's most talented artists become an occult investigator? In her search for original music to inform her own work, she happened across a music score that was literally beyond this world. She survived the creatures it summoned, and with the aid of another investigator. Since then, she discovered that music is indeed magic, to be used for good or ill. There we go. So, her skills are stealth and swiftness, so high survival. And she has a special unique ability, Song of Death. When you rest, choose any enemies within one space to get one song token, add or move. Enemies roll one less black or green die for each song token on them. Okay, and this would definitely be, if this is a Song of Death, this would make sense that these are the Death Head musical note tokens. Okay, that's it for Taylor. We have Ryan Martell. There he is. So, there we go. From Atlanta, Georgia. Focus everything on one task at a time. Ignore the insanity around you. To say Ryan is a bit intense is to call the sun a bit bright. Ryan lives his life with 2 modes, on and off. When he's off, he's affable, charming, and laid back. When he's on, he's like a hunting hawk, keen to every twitch, missing nothing and seeing everything. In the field, Ryan is a predator stalking prey. He's relentless in his tasks, whether that be fighting, fleeing, or chasing down the next clue. Woe betide the cultists and creatures that stand between him and his goal. There we go. So this is Ryan. His skills then include marksman and stealth. And then his unique ability is intense. If you haven't ran this turn, gain a green die when attacking. If you haven't attacked this turn, move 1 additional space when you run. This is entry level skill. And we move on to Tom Gilman from Washington, D.C., no less. Have a look at his figure. Weapons win battles, but logistics win wars. Tom is an avid student of history, especially military history. He did a stint in the army during the Great War, during which time he was logistics clerk, ensuring that material reached the front lines in good working order and, most importantly, on time. He's found that the same rules apply in his work against the cults. There's no substitute for the right tool at the right time, whether that's medical supplies, weapons, or even just a good screwdriver. He seems a little obsessed, but investigators have grown to value Tom's preparedness, and even sometimes learn a thing or two. Tom. So his skills then include swiftness and marksman. And then he comes well equipped. Start the game with your 4 equipment. When they may be traded and used as if they were item cards. So I'm guessing the 4 equipment would be a pistol and first aid, and a bottle and grenade. And they have indeed grenade. Discard as a free action to deal 1 wound to all figures either in your space, including you, or an adjacent space. A beer bottle, discard as a free action to heal all your stress. Oops, we need to flip it around. So reading it right around. A flare gun, in fact, rather than a pistol. Discard to sneak past 1 enemy during a run, it doesn't follow you. Or a first aid kit. Discard during a trade to heal all wounds from each investigator in your space. Go. Very useful. But when they're gone, they're gone. Okay, so next up we have... Oh, it's me in the corner. There you go. Buck Hall. There you go, so a nice green scape at the top of that card, hence the green screen kicking in. Let's have a look at Buck with the double pistols. Very good. Okay, so Buck Hall is from Chicago, Illinois. Revenge, that's what drives all of us in the end, even you. Buck has known his share of loss, most notably his entire family. What should have been a weekend getaway to a picturesque seaside bed and breakfast turned into a week-long carnival of death as his family reunion saw him the only survivor. They even got the children. Thus, every death Buck can inflict on their name brings him a little fleeting peace. He's a grim companion, to say the least. Death is a part of battling the cults, but it's good to know that it works at Buck's side and usually marches to his drum. Okay. Let's have a look at his skills then. So marksman, as you would expect, alongside toughness, and his specialist skill is killing spree. You gain a green when attacking a monster. If it has 3 or less remaining health before the attack, gain an extra green die. Nice. We have, next up, Vanessa Ortiz. And she is from Lima, Peru. Zoom in. There's a serenity to be found in the cosmos, despite all the horrors. The elder gods and cultists have nothing but disdain for humanity as a young, foolish race that is ultimately doomed. Vanessa couldn't care less, however. All of them are ultimately doomed too. In the vast scale of cosmic time, even the old ones are but blips among the dying stars. She's made a life for herself in studying the cosmos and the magic therein. As such, she's an accomplished magician and can easily turn the elder gods' powers against them. There we go. I feel arcane mastery for sure. There it is. Along with swiftness, she can keep herself moving. And her specialist skill is cosmic researcher. At the end of your turn, you may heal 1 stress and 1 wound for each red in the discard pile. Right, so each elder sign, not an elder sign, sorry, great old one summoning symbol in the discard pile. Nice. Okay. And we have another face from history with Harry Houdini. There he is. Drag him in here. There we go. Harry Houdini. Have a closer look at him and his details. My brain is the key that sets me free, from Budapest, Hungary. As a well-renowned illusionist and escape artist, Harry Houdini has made a name for himself by escaping the impossible death and traps and debunking fraudulent spiritualists who claim extraordinary powers. That is, until he ran upon occultists with actual supernatural abilities. The hidden occult world became known to him as more than whimsical fantasies. He survived his encounter with the supernatural through one of his amazing escapes and has since become an investigator of true occult phenomena and a powerful weapon against the old ones. There's his character. So, yes, definitely arcane mastery in there, along with stealth. And of course, his specialist ability is Escape Artist. As a special action in a space with 0 or 1 enemy, swap with a figure 1 to 3 spaces away. Each one is placed directly on the other's space. That's his specialist skill. Okay. Anika Khalil. Next up, grab her. She is. So, Anita Khalil from Beirut, Lebanon. Turning an enemy into an ally is the peak of strategy. Magic helps. In her life before the cults intruded, Anita worked with animals. She always had a way with beasts, even wild animals. It turns out that she has a natural magical talent which can make even the most horrific creature into an unwitting ally. Many cults have various eldritch creatures they use as guardians, enforcers, and attack dogs. With Anita around, it's only a matter of time before the creature turns against its former master. Or, as she puts it, you two fight and we'll deal with whatever's left. So her skills then are Arcane Mastery and Stealth, along with Beast Tutor. You start the game with your command spell card. When you rest, if the command spell is discarded, you may take it. So something again unique here is a discovery of Anita's command spell. So let's have a look at this. Anita's command spell. Pop her to one side. So you must claim the command spell. It's an item command spell. As a special action, make a roll against a monster in your space. If you roll successes equal to or higher than their remaining health, take the monster ally side of the card and place the monster figure on it. Monster ally. When attacking, gain a green. When the monster figure on this card is summoned, take the command spell side of this card. Nice. Good. Something again, very different. Not seen that before. Liking this. Lots of variability. Interesting differentials. Whoop! I just had it lined up then as well. Isadora Roca. Have a look at her. Okay, from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Okay, so these creatures aren't the only terrifying things to haunt the dark. Isadora ranks among the deadliest spies the world has ever known. There are few secrets she cannot find and fewer people she cannot kill. When one of her missions brought her into contact with a cult mid-ritual, she found a new use for her talents. rather than spying for nations that could meet her price. One by one, the cultists and their creatures began to vanish, until the head cultist found himself alone on the dais. He never saw the blow that struck him down. Good. Liking it. So, brawling and swiftness are her skills alongside spy training. When you attack, if you wound an enemy, neutralize it. Doesn't attack this turn. You are safe if each enemy in your space is neutralized. Good. Okay. Oops. So next up we have George Rodriguez. Of course, what would a game of investigators be if they didn't have a chef? Come on now. So, from the Bronx, New York. Honestly, the quickest way back to my kitchen is through them. George would really rather be cooking. He's worked at restaurants large and small for the most of his life. His knowledge of dishes ranges from simple to exotic and even beyond. Nothing gives him greater joy than seeing people widen their eyes as they taste a new dish of his for the first time. Anything that takes him away from his kitchen sparks irritation, and triply so for cultists and their creatures. He never asked for the investigators' lice, but it seems to have found him anyway. And may the gods have mercy on the creatures in his way, for George has none. Excellent. So his skills are toughness and arcane mastery, and his special skill and ability is charge. As a special action, if there's an enemy in one space, move to the nearest enemy and attack it. If the enemy is in your space, do not move, but still attack. Come on now. Next up, we have Michelle Hart with her trusty cricket bat, no less, from Dover, United Kingdom. So, Michelle Hart, there's really no substitute for a good defence. If there's one thing Michelle has found in battling the cults, it's that even the most outlandish creatures are still flesh and blood. As such, physical barriers are just as much an obstacle to them as investigators. She's become adept at erecting barricades out of seeming junk. A few old boxes, a battered old sofa, a bookcase pulled down into an odd angle. Anything works. Of course, the bigger the barrier to their passing is Michelle herself. Having played cricket in the professional leagues, she's not easy to get past, particularly if she's got any kind of weapon. Excellent. So she will have, of course, brawling, as you would expect, and stealth as well. And her specialist ability is barricade. Once per turn, as a free action, you may place a barricade in a free passage in your space. Discard any time. Next time figures would pass, discard the token instead. So I'm guessing that these would be the barricades. Okay. Whoops. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. Okay, we have Archie Fort. Next up. Do love the look of this character. He is fantastic. The detail on him. Excellent. So, from New York, New York. Hell, I fought worse in the dockside taverns. You ever been to Singapore? Ha! Archie is a rabble-rouser, a ruffian, sailor, and carouser. Fortunately, all these traits make for a strong investigator who isn't afraid to mix it up with the creatures and the entities brought forth by the cults. His first encounter with the hidden world was at the sea, with creatures swarming his ship from below. He doesn't recall very much, so classification of these things is difficult. Not that Archie cares much about that. They died just fine by his gun and an old cutlass he had found. He keeps the sword around as both a keepsake and, well, just in case. So he comes with brawling and toughness, as you would definitely expect, as well as rowdy being his specialist skill. If there are 3 or more enemies in your space, you are surrounded and may take 1 stress to perform a free attack. The base level of his skill. We are moving into the final 4 investigators. We have Craig Adamson, a very familiar face to many from the silver screen, I'm sure. Let's have a look at his miniature, or a close-up look at his face first of all. Okay, so here is his miniature and his details. From Birmingham, United Kingdom. I'm afraid we're only serving lead for dinner this evening. While Craig was quite happy as the maitre d' for an upscale New York hotel restaurant, he served with honour and distinction in the trenches of the Great War. It was a terrible time in his life where he learned skills more apt for a mass murderer than a civilized man, and yet he now finds himself embracing those old talents once more. Craig would rather be back at his restaurant, but his sense of duty towards innocent life is too strong. It seems he may never be free from the horrors of his past. Okay. His skills then include marksman and stealth, and his specialism is tireless. Once per turn, you may take 2 stress to perform a free run action. Keep him on his toes. Okay. We have Steve Wainwright. Is this another historical person? Perhaps. Certainly has that feel to him. From Galveston, Texas. Let's have a look. Whoop. Worst part is some of these things are really dang slimy. Steve's talents don't lend much towards investigation or esoteric magic, but he's a natural athlete and one of the best people to have at your side when it comes to a fight. As an all-star player in school and college, Steve was well on the road to a lucrative career when a fateful encounter on a backcountry road showed him the hidden world beneath his own. Steve would have been an unwitting sacrifice, but a bomb rush against an unsuspecting creature gave him the opening to run, and run. Go. So his specialties are swiftness and toughness, and his unique ability is tackle. Once per turn after you run, you may push 1 enemy in your space 1 or 2 spaces away. Good. And notice an enemy, it's not a monster. Very powerful stuff. Let's have a look. We have Robert Gray. Let's find him. And again, I do wonder if that is a famous face there. So Robert Gray is from Charleston, South Carolina. Let's just say my old skills are very much alive and leave it at that. Robert doesn't discuss his past at all. Yet there is blood there. Anyone that looks into his cold, dead eyes can see it. He's too old to have served on the front lines of the Great War, so speculation on how and where he became so proficient at killing runs rampant. Robert lets them talk and says nothing about it. He investigates the cults, finds out where they are, and kills them. Simple as that. He's an exterminator of sorts, one with very particular prey. It's a good thing he's on our side. So his skills then include marksman and arcane mastery, as well as cold blood. When you kill the second enemy in a turn, he'll 2 stress and advance your slaughter track. Ah, there we go. So this is the large track that we have here. And I wonder what goes on said track. Maybe this, perhaps. But it is definitely the slaughter track. And there'll be something that will go and run along it. Okay. We have our final investigator, which is Martin Horner. And I wonder, is this from, because he looks a bit like, could be from, the TV show, the Cthulhu TV show that was on? Definitely has that kind of a feel. From Tampa, Florida. Have a look then. Stand strong, stay in the fight. It's as simple as that. Marty's brand of investigative journalism hits hard and takes no prisoners. He's exposed scandals from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco and back again. Those that abuse their power and authority are on a notice, and any time Martin is on the case. He can't be intimidated, he can't be bought. So, when his latest story brought him face to face with an old one in a Manhattan high-rise, he knew he'd found what would become his life's work. He can't really write about the hidden world without causing a panic, but he can lend his formidable skills to his fellow investigators. So he comes with swiftness and toughness, and his unique ability is adamant. Focus in there. So enemies roll one less black die or green when attacking, while your sanity is on one of your spots or one space back. So here or here, the enemies are weakened in their attack. That's it, folks. That is all of investigators in their glory. There are lots of them, but you will of course notice there are some additional grey miniatures, and these would be monsters. So let's see if we can find out what these are, because they are not the only tray of monsters that we have. Therefore, these are going to be wandering monsters, and I think we've already seen one of them just there. So let's see if we can break in. Dear me, is that there? Almost. Here we go. Go. Right. So let's have a look and see what we've got. We have a Zoog as an unknown monster. Let me see if I can find a Zoog. That is definitely Zoog looking. What is that? It's a crazy little dude. Love it. A Zoog. So all Zoogs in the same space attack as a single enemy, and you do get 5, 6 of these. And when the elder one advances, each Zoog moves 2 spaces towards you. Summon 1 Zoog at the farthest gate, and then 1 Zoog at each space, with at least 1 Zoog. Oh, they multiply! Nice! Ooh, fiendish. So that's one of our new unknown monsters. What the heck? A Yithian. A Yithian, I suspect, were Yithians not part of the original? I think they were. Yes. Okay, so these are in the unspeakable box, I believe. Yithians. Okay, so before it is attacked, place it and the attacker on the nearest gate. And when the Elder One advances, each Yithian moves 2 spaces towards you. Summon 1 Yithian at its furthest gate, and then each investigator loses 1 sanity for each Yithian and gate in their space. Ooh. Nasty. Yeah, we definitely had these in the unspeakable box. And we have Me Go. When attacking, it gains an extra green for each insanity threshold that the targeted investigator has reached. Okay. And when the Elder One advances, each Migo moves 2 spaces towards the investigator that has lost most sanity. In case of a tie, the nearest tied investigators summon 1 Migo at your space. Ooh, harsh. We have Cult Masters. Why does it sound like a TV show? What is that about? Cult Masters. Counts as a cultist, cannot be wounded while there is regular cultist in the same space. When the Elder One advances, each cultist, including Cult Masters, moves 1 space towards you. Summon 1 Cult Master at the farthest gate, and then summon 1 Cult Master at each space with a Cult Master, but no regular cultist. Okay. Next up, we have a Grocus. Is this one of the new ones? I think it is. Here we go. This is the Grocus. And we have 2 of these. Almost kind of rat-like, dragon-like creatures. No idea of what that looks like. So, when destroyed, place a fire token in its space. When the Elder One advances, the nearest Grocus moves 2 spaces towards you. Then each investigator in the same space as a Grocus catches 1 fire. Summon 1 Grocus at the farthest gate. Go. There we have 2 of those in our box. Okay. We have, what are these called? Soliopteran. Soliopteran. Soliopteran? I think that would be these dudes here. Quite spindly folk. Definitely bug-like. So, when it attacks, it heals all of its wounds and adds that many successes. When the Elder One advances, each Soliopteran with 2 or more health takes 1 wound, and then for each wound it has, each Soliopteran moves 1 space towards the investigator nearest to it. Summon 1 Soliopteran at the farthest gate. Wow. Oops. We have 3 of those. Next up, what? We have Inhabitant of the Nameless City. So that would be one of these brutes. There we go. Oh! Run away! After attacks, if 2 or more Elder Signs were rolled, deal 1 wound to each investigator in its space. And then when the Elder One advances, each inhabitant of the Nameless City moves 2 spaces towards the nearest space with 2 or more investigators, if none, towards you. And then summon 1 inhabitant of the Nameless City at the nearest gate. That's what they do. And we have 3 of those. Ooh, we have, what is it? I'm going to go with one of these. Oops. It's a Vormy. They're quite sizable as well, almost quite troll-like. Great big club. Like giant elves. Okay, so when it attacks for the first time in a turn, if it deals no wounds, it attacks one additional time. And when the Elder One advances, each Vormy moves one space towards the investigator with the least wounds. In case of a tie, the nearest one, and summon one Vormy at each of the 2 nearest gates. Wow. Okay, so we get 4 of those, hence appearing at 2 gates. We have an Imbi. I'm trying to work out. I have a feeling that Imbi was. Oh no, this is a new one. A new one. Here we go. So yeah, so an Imbi. There we go. That's what that looks like. So, if Imbi survives an attack, it cannot be attacked again this turn. And when the Elder One advances, each Imbi fully heals and moves one space towards you. Then each cultist and monster within one space of an Imbi heals 2 wounds, and then summon an Imbi at each of the 2 farthest gates. Wow. And we get 4 of those. Means this last one, haha, saving the best for last, the Cat from Saturn, another very well received and highly requested, sought after monster added to the Cthulhu series. And here it is, all its glory. Quite splendid, to be honest. Fantastic. So, if it deals any wounds, the wounded investigator must discard one of their item or companions. And when the Elder One advances, each Cat from Saturn moves one space towards the investigator with the most items or companions. Summon one Cat from Summon at the furthest gate, and then, if there are 2 or fewer Cats from Saturn on the board, summon one at the nearest gate and one at the furthest gate. Wow. And we get 5 of those. Here they are. They all are. So these are the additional monsters beyond those that we got in all of the episode boxes, and of course we are finally then to see our Elder One comes in this box. So let's have a look so we can pop it away. Ah. I feel very confused. There we go. Ooh. Back away. In order. Meaning we have just the one box. We do have 2 more cards after this review. So, have a look at the Elder One. It comes with a little mini booklet. Have a look at the booklet first of all. Ah, yes. I already recognise from opening the box, there's already been complaints about this Elder One box set. But nonetheless, we'll press on. So we have the Elder One summoning rule interaction, special influence board effects, and then losing a level from the final stage effect clarification. Okay, so it does come with some rules of its own, and this was the piece that has already raised complaints on the community on the basis of, why would you not have this as just a flat board inside the box rather than a folded up piece of card within the Elder One box? Because obviously every time you're going to be folding this and unfolding it, you're just going to be increasing the wear and tear on these. I mean, you can even see this. I mean, this is already starting to show wear and tear, and I'm literally just getting it out the box now. I mean, you can see that that's faded, and this is brand new, taken out of the box for the very first time. Yeah, it's just balmy, folks. It's balmy, you know, and particularly, you know, the amount of money someone certainly like myself and others obviously across the community have paid for these items, and you just think, why would you do that? It's just madness. Doesn't make any sense at all. Solutions, I don't know. I mean, you could possibly laminate it. I mean, that would certainly preserve it moving forward. For myself, I'd probably be more inclined to scan it, recreate it in Photoshop, tidy it up, and then just print it out on a single piece of card and laminate that, and then just save this one as best as it can be saved. But like I say, I mean, you can see it's already showing wear and tear straight out the box. It's very, very disappointing. Maybe CMON will address it. Who knows? Yeah, maybe if they get enough complaints, maybe that's something, you know, raising it here as somebody maybe in the community watching this, you know, contact CMON, raise it as a complaint. But yeah, that's, yeah, as obviously a very key component to be able to play this Elder One content, that is disappointing. And exactly, it just doesn't even sit flat. You know, that really does need significant attention. Not impressed, unfortunately, at that. On the plus side, then we have comes with a nice icon as an alternative to the red one. So we have that. We have the Elder cards and the miniatures themselves. These, of course, will be taped. So let's dig into the there we go. Certainly nice minis. So that one would be NUG. Lots of great big tentacles. Does remind me a lot of the Black Goat, but obviously plays very, very differently. Although that was certainly a challenge, Black Goat. And then this would, of course, then be YEB. Is the counter to NUG. Okay. Whoop. Horny little beast. Sit on there. I think, does that go around the other? What? How does he not go back in? That's bizarre. Just sits on top. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's dig into what you can expect from the Elder. The Mythos cards for such a time as you field these Elder ones and their alternative summoning board. If I can get into the cards, that is. Flippin' heck. What the heck? Here we go. Not like that. Okay. So, let's have a look at these cards. We have, zoom in a bit more. There we go. These guys out the way. Oh, apologies for the noise. Okay, so, loyal followers. The furthest cultist moves 2 spaces towards you, and if they leave the space with other cultists, one of them follows, and then summon cultists. Cult of Twins, a blue sign progression occurs, as well as adding Mon red to the flow. And then summon 2 cultists at the red portal. Another blue summon occurs with the twin adoration, and summon 2 at the yellow portal. Horror monstrosities, each cultist and elder one move 1 space towards you. Nefarious influence, each investigator takes 1 stress and loses 1 sanity. The twin blasphemies, choose. At the end of the turn, advance the elder one on the track as if there had been 3 elders occur, or move the elder one 1 space on the influence track for each insanity threshold they have reached. Spawns of the outer god. If NUG and or YEB are on the board, the nearest of them moves to your space. Otherwise, move the blue token on 2 spaces. And the Great Old One Ancestors, move the Elder One 1 space on the influence track, and then progress the blue token. So let's just have a quick look at blue token track. I zoom back out a bit again. So moving YEB on the influence track. When an effect moves YEB on the influence track, move it to the number of spaces clockwise 1 at a time, resolving the move effect on each space it moves. Okay. So when YEB moves here, discard 1 item or companion unless you take 1 stress. When YEB moves here, place a fire token in your space. Each investigator takes 1 stress or 1 wound if they cannot take stress. Discard 1 item or companion unless you take 1 stress. Place a fire token in your space. And again, each investigator takes 1 stress or 1 wound if they cannot take stress. Okay. And then we have the NUG influence track. So when an effect moves NUG on the influence track, move it that number of spaces clockwise 1 at a time, resolving the move effect on each space as it moves. When this symbol appears on a Mythos card, resolve the corresponding trigger effect from the space where NUG is currently on. Okay. So it'll be moving around clockwise. So activate your insanity. Move the farthest gate 1 space towards you. Ooh, moving gates. Each investigator loses sanity. Activate your insanity, move a gate, and each investigator loses 1 sanity. And then summoning. When Neg and Yeb are summoned, the influence token replaces NUG on the influence track, while the progression token replaces Yeb on the summoning track. Okay, so I think that's the blue progression token versus the red influence token. Okay, so quite different. I'm sure you will agree. And let's look at the stages of these elder ones. Again, if I can get in. Really don't like this. Am I in yet? What is going on? Am I kind of in? Eesh. Oh, there we go. Right, I'm in. Link neck. These things are hard work. Right, so we have stage 1 of NUG set up. NUG starts on the red space of the influence track, whilst YEB occupies the summoning track. Both NUG and YEB are Elder Ones. Okay. When NUG and YEB advance, summon 2 cultists on the nearest gate. Move NUG 1 space on the influence track. When you get to stage 2, when revealed, summon NUG and YEB into your space. Each investigator loses 1 insanity, so they both appear. You must defeat both NUG and YEB to defeat a stage. When NUG or YEB is defeated, knock its figure over until the other one is also defeated. Okay, so I wonder if it's 12 life for each of the Elder Ones. When revealed, move NUG and YEB, move NUG to the blue gate, move YEB to the yellow gate. They are both fully healed. Then draw and resolve 1 Mythos card. At the end of each turn thereafter, move NUG 1 space on the influence track. When revealed, move NUG to the starting space. Move YEB to the red gate. They are both fully healed. Then each investigator must lose 1 level in one of their skills that is not level 1. They cannot lose a level granted by the discovery cards. Okay, and at the end of each turn, move NUG 1 space on the influence track. And the enemies that come alongside are, as you would expect, cultists, but also while YEB is on the same space as NUG, NUG cannot take wounds. This is as YEB as an enemy. Okay, wow. So that, again, very, very different. Pop those away. Yeah, I don't mind so much the instruction set being folded. That's a lesser concern. I mean, again, it's still folded on words, so it will wear and tear over time, but to do a summoning board when you've got a box this big, really, CMON? No excuse for that at all. That really does rub me up the wrong way. I cannot begin to comprehend, particularly when you consider, these are the tokens for the investigators. They just left them loose in the box. This is the special card for Anita. They left it loose in the box. There was no need for that. I don't understand. Beyond my comprehension. Truly, the realms of insanity reached the CMON's offices by the time they were producing these stretch goals. That's the only thing I can fathom as to what occurred in their offices in the decision around that. Okay, but that aside, all the other contents were good, thankfully. So happy, very happy with that. And there is, as I mentioned, 2 more contents come in this box. 2 brand new relics. So let's have a look at these. We have a skull. Randomly select an extra investigator board from outside the game and place it next to this relic. That investigator's signature skill is the skull skill. Gain 1 level in skull skill, place a skull marker on level 1. You cannot gain levels in this skull skill any other way. And then the headless horseman's skull is the powered relic. Gain 1 additional level in the skull skill, 2 total. Place a skull marker on level 2. Also, you may level up the skull skill as if it was one of your skills. Okay. That's what that brings to the fray. And these were, I think these were particularly Halloween themed, as I recall. So we get a pumpkin. 3 wounds. Any wounds you take may instead be applied to the pumpkin as wound tokens. This still counts as you taking wounds, and the pumpkin cannot be healed. When the card transforms, move the wounds from here to the other side. When it becomes the other side, it is of course the Jack-o'-lantern. Any wounds you take may instead be applied to the Jack-o'-lantern as wound tokens. This still counts as you taking wounds, and the Jack-o'-lantern cannot be healed. Once per attack, before rolling dice, you may remove a wound token from here to gain an extra green die. There we go. So they are the final relics and components of this wondrous box of stretch goal content, the Unknowable box. As you will agree, I'm sure, quite a stupendous amount of content between all those investigators, the extra monsters we now get as unknown monsters, effectively wandering monsters that we can play to increase our difficulty, and of course the many new episodes and the elder ones added to the fray. So that's a fantastic look at the Unknowable box, and we have but 2 more contents left to review, being the additional elder one that was made available, being Ithaqua, and of course we also had the animal allies that were made available during this Kickstarter. So I will dig into those in a separate video. Otherwise, as always, just to say thank you for watching. If you have liked this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more content, please hit that subscribe. It really does encourage me. Otherwise, I will see you back at the table shortly for the final components of unboxing of Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown.